Welcome to the lecture 5 of the railway engineering. Right. Let's see today first what we're going to study in this lecture. We're going to study what is rails, functions of rails, types of rails, and requirements of rails. So if you can see this image here, right, these are your steel girders, right, that will allow the movements. Here also you can see over which the train is moving. Right, these are your rails. Now we will see which type of rail these are and which type of we are going to use you are using, right. So these are your rails. To show you the just show you, we know what is rail. Rail is a steel girder which allows the movement of the train, right, and it will take the load from the wheels and transfer it, whatever the load which is coming over it from the wheels is been transferred to the sleepers, right. Now rails are the rolled steel sections. They are steel sections laid along two parallel lines over this way. Two parallel lines means there are two rails, right, which are parallel to each other. These are parallel to each other, placed over the sleepers. Right? These are your sleepers. Right? So these are your sleepers, which will these are and these are your rails. Right? They can be considered as a steel girder carrying axial load. Axial means whatever the load coming from the uh, wheel, that is the CG of the wheel, is transferred to the CG of the rail. So it is called as axial load. The rails are made up of high steel carbon to withstand with a high carbon steel. The rails are made up of high carbon steel to withstand the wear and tear. Right? To withstand the wear and tear. The rails should be constructed in such a way that every portion can be easily maintained. It should not be very complex designs. It should be very easy so that the maintenance becomes easy to them. So, what are the functions of rails? Right? So, to provide continuous and level surface, right, for a free movement of trains. It will help you to provide a continuous level surface for the movement of trains. Second is to provide a smooth pathway to trains. This pathway has very less friction. It should be smooth so that the friction should be less. To transfer the wheel load to the sleepers, ballast and formation between them, and slave limits. Means what? It will transfer the loads to the sleepers, which will transfer the load to the blast, and that will transfer the load to the subgrade or your formation. Right? To bear, it should be able to bear. Bear means to withstand the vertical as well as the lateral forces of the train moving at a high speed. Right? They should be able to withstand the thermal stresses because it is outside, right, due to the change in the sun temperature on the earth surface, right. So they should be able to withstand the temperature stresses as well as the braking force when you apply the brakes of the train, right, on the track. It is not a single wheel. There are number of wheels which will be applied, brakes will be applied over which. So due to that, what happens, there is stresses developed due to the braking application, right. To have a minimum wear, to avoid the replacement charges and failures of the rails due to the wear. So we try to avoid the wear and tear of the rails. What the requirements of the rail? Those are the functions, right? These are the requirements. How the rail should be? They should be of proper composition of steel. As we said, they should be of high carbon steel to withstand the wear and tear. Right? The constitution required to be proper. The rail should possess adequate lateral stiffness and vertical stiffness. They should be able to withstand the forces laterally as well as the vertically. Right? The rail should be capable of withstanding the lateral force. Same thing. Right? The head should be sufficient deep to allow for an adequate margin of vertical wear and tear. So the head means what? This is the head. This is your web, and this is your foot. Right? This thickness should be adequate. The thickness of the head should be adequate so that if there is wear and tear, right? If there is wear and tear, this will reduce. Right? This will depth will reduce. So it should not be very less that there is no head only due to the wear and tear. The head vanishes. So that should not happen. Right? The width of the foot rail should be sufficient to grant stability against overturning, and it should be capable of spreading the load on the larger area of the sleepers. Now what is foot? I showed you, right? So this width should be sufficiently good so that it should be able to transfer the load, right, to the sleepers. Now the types of rails. The first type is double-headed rails. So what is double-headed rail? Can you see this image here? In this image you can see two heads we talked about, right? The head is at the top also. The size is also same. There are two types. It was first type of rail that we used. Why the dimensions were same of the top head and the bottom head? This is called upper table, or you can call it as head, and this is your lower table. It's like a table where we allow the movement of wheels. So we first type of rail was double headed rail. There were two rails heads. So what was the reason behind this providing two heads? If due to the movement of train over this track on this upper head, right, on the upper head or upper table, this would wear and tear, and obviously this would have wear out. So what we would do, we would reverse it. We would change the heads. We would bring the lower head upside and the worn out head would be brought to the downwards, right? So this was their thinking of for going for the double headed. If so, we can use the lower side of the head of the rail during the upper head is worn out, so we can save the money, right? We have to just turn the rail such that worn out side will go downwards and the downward side will come upwards, because the head size is same, it will act same. But this could not happen. What would happen is, whenever there is a movement of train, and due to the movement of train, right, it didn't worn on the upside, on the upper head, the lower head also worn out, right. What happened, we provided two heads, because if one head is worn out, we can turn the head of the rails and we can use the lower head as a new rail, right. But what happened is, as we saw that due to the movement of train over this rail, the stresses and the vibrations caused due to the movement of train not only had a wear and tear on the top surface, as well as on the below surface, or the bottom head was also had some worn out. We saw that the lower portion is also getting worn out. So this type of rail was not necessary, because if we provide the dimensions on the both side same, then we are wasting the more steel, because the dimension is more, but it is not of use so much, right. So these rails, the double-headed rails, were provided at the first stage of development. It consists of three parts, that is your lower table or a lower head, web, and the upper table or upper head. The upper and the lower tables are identical, they are both same. This was kept same with the idea to increase the life of the rails, right. The idea was, when the upper table worn out due to the impact of the moving vehicle, we would invert it or turn it and reuse the lower section. But later it was found that the impact of the wheels on the lower table became dent as same as that of the upper table and not be reused for smooth riding. How the upper surface worn out, same way the lower portion also worn out. So it becomes it was not useful. So what we try to do is, we brought up with a new type of rail now, because this was not successful, so we had gone for new type of rail, that is bull headed rail. If you can see this two images, you can see this image here, right? You can see the upper head is larger and the lower head or the lower table is smaller than the upper head, right. It is smaller. They try to reduce the size of the lower tables, because we would not be using it for the reuse purpose, right. So they try to reduce the content of, or the shape of the size of the rail, but the width was very less. The width which was provided was less, and due to this shape of the lower head, or you can say table, to fix this bull headed rail or a double headed rail, you would require a specialized fastenings and footings to hold this type of rails, the both double headed rail as well as the bull headed rails, because the width was less, right. We would require more number of fastenings and fittings in bull headed rails, because the width was less and the dimension was less, right. To provide a stability, we could require a more number of fastenings in the case of bull headed rails. You see here. Can you see here this arrangement that is provided, right? To hold the bull-headed rails, these base plates, or you can say the anchors, were required at every sleeper. So the requirement of fastenings and fittings were more in the case of bull-headed rails and the double-headed rails. More in the case of bull-headed rails, right? So this was nothing, but it was just a mere development of the double-headed rail, where they try to reduce the size of the lower head. So because to avoid the extra wastage, right? These rails consisted of head, web, and the foot, and are of made of steels. The head was larger than the foot. In this rail, the metal in the foot is sufficient to bear the stresses caused by the moving vehicles. In the case of bull-headed rails, the bottom portion was designed only properly to hold the wooden keys with the which the rails could be fitted. This type of bull-headed rails were only useful on the wooden sleepers with the keys. These are what you can say keys. The fastenings and the screws that you see, those are called as keys. And these are only useful on the wooden sleepers. But the requirement of fastenings and the fittings were more. So due to that, maintenance cost would go higher every time in the case of bull-headed rails. So what we came up with? We came up with this new type of where you have the head of a same shape, right? And you have a web. You have a flat-footed foot. You have a flat foot here. The width of the foot is more in the case of flat-footed, and in the case of bull-headed, right, this lower portion was little bit curved. The lower head or the foot was little bit curved, so you required more chairs and fastenings. But in this case, we have flattened the foot and we have increased the width of the foot, right? So what has happened due to that? There is more stability with respect to the bull-headed rails and the double-headed rails. Also, we require less fittings and fastenings in the case of flat-footed rails, and this is the most used rail in the nowadays. We don't use any type of other rails. We use only flat-footed rails. These rails were invented by Charles Vignon in 1836, at the same time when the bull-headed rails was designed. Therefore, these were known as Vigon's rail. In the case of the bottom section, it is spread out to form a base, provide some stability. The idea behind the invention was that the rail can directly be used on the sleepers with very few fastenings. Right? As I explained to you everything. These rails are mostly used on the Indian railways due to more stability. About 90% of the railway tracks in the world is laid with these rails due to the following advantages. Because it has some advantages, all over the world this type of rails are used. Right? The first one is these do not require any chairs. Right? The foot of the rail is spiked directly on the sleepers. Right? These are stiffer both vertically and laterally than the bull-headed rails, equal to the weight. They are equal to the weight of the bull-headed rails, but they are more stable than bull-headed rails. Cheaper than bull-headed rails, they distribute the load over the greater number of sleepers and tend to increase the life of the sleepers and the rails. These tend to reduce maintenance cost also. It reduces the maintenance cost. It will increase the life of the sleepers and rails also itself also. So all are these advantages of it, right? So we saw what is rail, right? Where we use the rails, right? In what components it is made up of. We saw the functions of the rails, requirements of the rails, and we saw the types, three types, and which type of rail was used when, and what was the reason to come up with the new types of rails, right?